Yo, good morning. What's going on, everyone? My name is Seth Miranda. This is Adorama itself at 42 West 18th Street, and this is my man, Dave Reed. What's up, boss?
What's going on, man?
Leave me? You gonna leave me?
Of course not.
You guys have probably seen Dave Reed all over our channel as a model, but you're going to find out a lot more about his secret talents, which aren't so secret because he's blowing up all over the place. But we're going to get into that. First, I want to say what's up to our sponsor for the day, BenQ. You guys know BenQ. If you edit shots or you're editing video or anything like that, you're super critical on what you do. BenQ is what we use. The chat monitors in this space, BenQ monitors. The projector that you guys see when you come here for the events that is so crystal clear and awesome and matches my MacBook, BenQ. And we also used one of their gaming projectors and it blew my mind. It was awesome. There's a video of that, I think on the gaming channel or on AdoramaTV, one of those. Either way, BenQ, we love you. Thanks so much for sponsoring this. And I also want to thank, Gotham Coffee. Although you didn't get coffee.
I got, hot chocolate.
You got the tiny hot chocolate.
The little one.
It's the health conscious hot chocolate. Gotham's awesome. They're one block north of Adorama. This is 18th Street. They're on 19th Street. Go say what's up to them and get the babka. Just a pro tip on that. Do you get cinnamon or chocolate babka if you get babka?
I don't know what a babka is.
You're not a babka guy.
What's a babka? I know.
Get out. You're done. This episode's over. We're done. Man, it's like Sophie's choice for me. If I get babka, that's chocolate or cinnamon. You never watched Seinfeld, the cinnamon and chocolate babka?
I never watched Seinfeld. I never watched an episode in my life.
This is going to be a good one. All right, cool. Thanks so much for that. If you guys want, while we're chatting, you can check out Dave Reed's work right here. But Dave, you've been a model for me in endless videos. We've taken you into live shoot situations. You've modeled extensively for a while. But what people don't know is you're actually an amazing artist. You're doing a lot of illustration, digital illustration, 3D printing, resin printing, and you're streaming it, teaching it to everybody.
Yes.
So I'm going to pull up some of your work while we're talking about this. He's also a quiet guy, so I'm going to have to pull all this stuff out of him.
Modeling was a kind
of
need
the money,
byproduct. Because I went to SVA 20 years ago. And I had friends that were photographers and filmmakers, so that's how I sort of fell into that. Like I never really I never really felt like I was a model, but people wanted to take photos, so I was going to take the money, of course.
You made my job way easier on many a difficult shot, so I appreciate it. You're also really easy to work with. I feel when I shoot with you, you have a sense of what we're looking for, but I also think you have a definite visual idea in your head as well, and I think that's what we get to see with the work you're putting out here. I mean, this is unbelievable. Yeah,
this has always been a dream of mine to do 3D. When I went to school, I first got into SVA as a 3D major, and that's what I wanted to do. Like that's when I was like, I want to, work for, a big company and do 3D animation and character design. But I just hated it. Like when I got into school and I was working with, I don't know if it was the teachers or the programs, but I absolutely hated it. So then I switched to illustration because I've always loved drawing. I've always loved drawing. I've always been able to just be hyper focused. So I switched to illustration and I graduated as an illustration major and I gave up 3D until 2021.
What changed in 2021?
I randomly discovered Nomad Sculpt on the iPad. And it was pandemic. So like I was just like home and wasn't able to work, and I just found this program and I was like, this is actually fun. It's on the iPad. I'm able to, it feels like drawing, like when you watch it's almost like I'm drawing. So for me, that just like clicked. And I was like, this was the first program that I can work on and be like, I can understand how I can make results. So for 20 years, I wasn't able to do 3D, and now it's like, I can do it, and I just became absolutely obsessed.
You're literally the embodiment of this app changed my life.
The app did change my life. It really did.
What led you to teaching it? It's one thing to get into it, but you're like all in, talking while you're doing it. I mean, where did that come from?
Well, the teaching thing. Well, I must admit, like you mentioned streaming to me once, so that was a very interesting thing because. And I think this was before I was doing 3D. I was just doing 2D with Procreate. But you had mentioned streaming to me, so I was like, you know what? I want to get this kind of set up so I can just draw. Maybe people will just want to watch me draw. So I kind of got everything figured out and set up. And that led into just recording videos that weren't streaming.
Yeah.
So then I was like, well, what am I going to do with these? I can put them on YouTube, of course. And then I remember one person left a comment saying, "Oh, you should check out, Skillshare. You should check out one of these platforms where you can just make a class." And I was like, I looked into it, and then, off to the races. I was like, well, let me figure out how I can do this, because passive income is
awesome.
Passive income is the way to go, especially like as an artist. I mean, I was doing TV and film, background work. I did some pretty cool commercial stuff. I did a few commercials in my day,
In my day. Yeah.
In my day.
You're so old.
Yeah. But I got into it in 2006.
Okay.
So that's like almost like 20 years ago. Like
yeah.
It feels, but so I got into that, and I don't know. And then, so I went to Skillshare, and then I started making passive income. And then I was like, okay, maybe I should dedicate more time than this. Mm-hmm. And only last year I decided to stop my like day job of working on TV and film. But I took everything I learned from working in TV and film, lighting, videography, all that stuff, and now I just do it myself.
Yeah, people don't realize how much the concept of lighting actually goes into what you do. In video games, it's everything right now to really make things pop. What I thought was interesting is the style you got into. When you told me you're an illustrator and stuff like that, in my head, I'm already going through like what it would look like. And then when I saw your work, I'm like, you Disneyfy everything, and you do it really cool. I actually, before we got started shooting, I'm like, can you do me a favor and just do like the most horrific horror icons as Disney characters? Because you think about those Funko Pop dolls, and they kind of make everything look nice and bubbly, even if they're like horrifying characters. But you do it so well that I think people probably come across your work and don't even realize that it's not that.
Right.
And you also put out brushes to kind of that people can pick up so that they can like kind of mimic the style and stuff like that. But how did you fall into that? Because whenever I think about illustrators, I'm either like manga or Western over detailed.
Yeah. Well, firstly, I mean, I never really, when I first started drawing, when I was really little, it was turtles. It was like I used to draw animals. I used to draw turtles. I love turtles. Obviously, Ninja Turtles came out. Yeah. I loved those, so I used to draw those. I think it was like Eastman and Laird or something like that. Used to
Kevin
make
Eastman
these,
and Peter Laird. Yep.
And I used to just copy the Ninja Turtles. And
Who's
then
your favorite?
Donatello.
I knew it.
It's weird because Donatello is my lifelong favorite, but I think I like Raphael. I think as you get older and and then you're like, okay, Raphael is like just upset at everything, and like
it makes more sense.
It makes sense.
They also made Donatello more and more like nerdy over time. Where you're like, come on, dude.
Yeah. Even when I sculpted him, he has his little glasses and everything like that.
Yeah.
So
you like the turtles?
So I like the turtles, and then I went to very classic. Like I used to draw like Baroque, like statues and things like that. Like I have this, I should have sent it to you. I have a picture that I drew of like the Napoleon. I think Jacques Louis David. I think he did Napoleon on a horse. It's amazing. And I was like, I wonder if I can draw that. I didn't know how to paint. I still can't paint. Hate painting, unless it's digital. But I wanted to see if I could draw it. So then I could draw it. So I could be hyper focused on something, even in high school, and just spend 48 hours, 72 hours, like doing like one drawing.
Yeah. Baroque is no joke. That style is like masters.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is I always wanted to, I liked a lot of different genres of art, and I didn't want to stick to one thing. I was like, I need to learn from these people that are doing these amazing things that I don't feel like I can do. Mm-hmm. Because if I just work on it and then one day I can get somewhat to that level, then that's always been what I felt like I need to do, is like, I want to learn from the people that are doing it amazing. That looks like it's something that, how can you possibly draw this?
Yeah, but that was always all creative, right? That's like you have to find a way to aspire. A guy I assisted for in my early years, and I never forgot it, said you always want to be around people that are better than you, or look at the people that you feel are better than you, because you're never going to grow if you're not you're not aspiring to step up.
Right.
It's interesting how where you ended up style wise, you probably took so many things from like stuff that's not even close.
Yeah. Well, my original stuff was very dark. Like my original artwork was very, very dark. It was just like very weird and like abstract. It was very abstract, kind of like like weird faces with like elongated. And I literally would just, doodle these things, but then I would just use what I learned and I would just render them out, just spend all the time in detail and just take everything from like a realistic drawing, but add it to this like weird abstract thing. So that was kind of a new thing. But then one of my biggest influences in college was Mark Ryden.
Okay.
Do you know him? He does he used to do all this like weird things with like old style dolls and stuff like that. And he was, one of my favorite artists. So he was like a big
Yeah, but they were creepy without being creepy.
They were pretty creepy.
They were without. I don't think he was like.
They were. You're not traditionally like when you think about something creepy.
Yeah, it was like Annabelle creepy.
Right.
It wasn't like whoa, it's off-putting. Off-putting.
It wasn't like the creepy magazine. Remember that magazine?
No.
There was like
magazine.
Yeah, it was called. I'm pretty sure it was called Creepy. It was like an old. I don't know if it was from like the 40s or the 50s or the 60s or something like that.
Yeah, it was famous monsters.
Yeah, it was all like monsters and weird stuff, and it was called Creepy. I used to go to these old. It wasn't a comic book store, like bookstores, and I would go to the sections where they just had really old stuff like Creepy, and they would also have these really old like Renaissance furniture and all this stuff. So like anything that just looked cool, I wanted to figure out how to draw, and then I think I sort of just mashed everything together. The Disney stuff happened maybe when I was around like, oddly, I feel like it was around when I was in my mid-30s.
Okay.
Maybe like it was sort of me saying like, oh, like maybe you need to be like a dad soon. And all of a sudden I just liked all this like cute stuff, and I just started doing everything and it just turned cute. So that was one thing that I learned to go with, is over the years my style just would change drastically. So I would just go with it. You know what I mean? Like I would just go with it and allow myself to change and adapt and really do the stuff that I love to do. Otherwise, being an artist is dreadfully boring and stressful when it's not something that you're just like excited to be doing.
Well, how do you feel about so this isn't like a dig at you, but let's say you put up, one of your How to Train a Dragon, and people can't recognize that you did it because it's so close to what was established. So putting out work that doesn't pull out like a definitive hallmark of yourself, but more of a calling to something else. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's the kind of thing that I never really thought about or worried about. Like, because I don't really, because I feel like other people are always going to define your style. So for me, I've always just done whatever the art is. I've done it whatever feels natural. A lot of experimenting. Sometimes I'll do something and I'll just be like, oh, you know what? Even though this character looks like this, I'm going to, give him an extra pair of arms or do something. And literally like just always like thinking outside of the box, never worrying about like what it's supposed to look like or what other people think that I'm supposed to do or how it's supposed to be or how I'm in a box. Cause like, even like I have like the 3D stuff, but I also have like the zombie head, because like I do like still making weird stuff. And if you look at a lot of my work, it is cute, but there is like still a little bit of like a creepy, like even the snail is like, he's a little bit like, with like the mouth, and he doesn't really have a cute expression. Sometimes I don't want him to have a cute expression. Sometimes I want him to be like, what is this? What's going on with this little snail?
That snail uses profanity. I can tell.
He's seen some things.
He's seen some things, yeah.
He's seen some things.
I mean, I'm a Venom fan, so.
Venom is a good, as far as social media and growing for me, sometimes things like Venom, things that people are familiar with, like that's like a good way to, just practice things that like, people know, they're going to recognize it. And people love that Marvel, like I think it's really good. And if you want to grow, you have to do some mainstream things, because it's just an easy way to draw people in and they see what you're doing, but just put your own twist on it. Like anything that I do, I'm going to put my own twist on it. I'm going to make it look the way I want to make it. I don't care what it's supposed to look like or what technically it's supposed to look like. I want to make it my style.
I think of the reason so many people are drawn to like the Marvel stuff is because there's so many identities within a universe that someone picks out the one that they really harness into, and they start collecting that character, or they get one thing from them, or they see themselves in that character. I mean, look, I got Venom and Carnage tattooed on my ribs. I'm in. But it's also one of those things that if you go to, like we were talking about this, if you go to Comic-Con and go to Artist Alley, they're not sharing their work until they show you something that will draw you in, which is a known character. Like, it's always a moneymaker to go with a known entity, which is, it's kind of like, I don't want to say it like this, but Andy Warhol kind of was the same way, right? Like, that Campbell soup can.
Right.
Wait, what's all this other stuff?
It's already evoking some sort of emotion in you. So that's like, that's like, you're already like a step ahead. If it's something that.
Oh, no.
Oh, that was my teaser. But I also love, like, a lot of these characters are just like, because I also just love to make my own stuff.
This one's dope.
You know what I mean? Like, something like this is just, literally, I'll just kind of like put something together. It's almost like just sketching or doodling, but in 3D. And that's what I love about that app.
I mean, you got a twisted Pokemon series going on here.
Very twisted, very twisted. And even something like this, like, It's more of a dark kind of spookier type character. You know what I mean? Like it's not your traditionally cute. It's kind of cute, but it's also kind of creepy.
Well, it's also you understood the way lighting works in this image, which is really key.
Yeah.
Because it's more believable when the lighting and physics don't look like it's not real.
And I think that's why, obviously, like I love photography and all that stuff as well. And photography is the sole reason that I can light these. Oh, there's your Donatello and Michelangelo.
Where's my? Oh, I see him.
That's the sole reason why I love lighting in 3D, because it's exactly the same as real life. Like when you want to light a scene, like it's the same thing with 3D. Like I just put like a key light, a rim light, and it's really easy. I just turn everything black, and then I just start with, and I'll make weird toasters and stuff like that. But lighting is so much fun, and it's just everything is exactly how it is with a camera.
So have you thought about things like doing toy design? I feel like that's really in your wheelhouse.
That's how I fell into 3D.
Okay.
I was like, I don't really know how to get into toy design or how to do any of that stuff. Like
it's a shortage, right? There's like a shortage of toy designers apparently.
No, I don't even it's hard for me to even understand what that means really.
Apparently,
like I guess
the hard part is that you actually need engineering degrees to figure out how to actually get it built, not just design it. So that's the hard part apparently.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like you could probably feed so much conceptual stuff to people that could then figure out how to build it.
Right. Well, that's why I wanted to do resin printing, and I fell into that. Like where I was putting it off. Like if I knew everyone was like doing 3D and doing resin printing, and I was like, is this really as easy as it like it's starting to seem? Because now it's like everyone's doing it, and everyone's like an amazing airbrusher and all that stuff. So I went in it not knowing anything about it, and it's a heck of a learning curve. Like it's definitely a learning curve, but exactly what you're saying. Like I'm making these things and I'm like, this would be awesome if I could print it and airbrush it. So I had to learn airbrushing.
Oh, interesting.
You know what I mean? So everything was like starting from zero and just working my way into figuring out how to sand things.
Right.
Like I didn't know how to sand anything. I didn't know how to prime anything. That
self-leveling coat that you put on it and all that kind of stuff.
Everything. Yeah. It's just like, and it's expensive too.
Right.
But since I was thinking, okay, if I want to do this for real, then I just have to learn how to film everything and at least like put it up there and just try to make some sort of brand.
I mean, we got you covered on that, which is actually really crazy because I mentioned the streaming to you because a while ago we had a Twitch channel and I was like, I got to put you on here. Like, this is so awesome to watch and like learn from it. And it's like what you were doing was made for it. And it was interesting because you were a Procreate Apple iPad guy as opposed to a Wacom guy. So I was like, man, let me see if we can figure this out. And it's funny that you said that kind of sparked it to kind of start streaming. But what you guys don't know is he built the setup that he knew to build to stream and do his channel. I'm talking filming his hands with iPhones, using his webcam, and just going for it.
Yeah, literally, like it's kind of nice. Like everyone has to start from just literally like zero. Like you can look up YouTube videos and all that stuff, but it's like, for me, I was like, well, why don't I just use an old phone? Like I use my fiance's old iPhone S or something like that. That's what I started to stream with because it was just a phone we had around. So I was able to just I got one of those little clamps.
Yep.
And my space, I literally, my studio is my bedroom. My fiance and I we have separate rooms. We just that's just how we roll. And I have a loft bed because my room is kind of small. So I have a loft bed and my computer and everything is under my bed. I use one of the little clamps to put the iPhone there and that records. And slowly, from there, I think I had a PC when I started, but then I got a Mac so I can AirDrop. But I pretty much just started from an old iPhone and I was like, I don't have the space for a big camera. I don't have a big camera. I just have to use whatever I have laying around and make it work. And the streams were terrible. The audio, people were getting me from what is it called? Pops and what is it? Pop. And when you swallow and stuff like that, there's a term for it.
Well, because you're looking down and you're into the mic when you're doing this. And if you've never been mic'd or know what it's like to create content, you have no clue how what you're doing affects the end result.
Yeah.
But the key here is he didn't let the setup stop him from starting. That's what I really always got from it. And it wasn't about the camera for you because it was about what you were creating with your hands.
Right.
You just need to have some sort of reality basis, like a little picture in picture. But man, like I was like, there's no way this won't blow up. And your channel's killing it. Yeah,
YouTube is. I'm supposed to get my plaque today. Like literally, it was supposed to be on. I was supposed to get it on Sunday, and then I got a message, I think on like, Saturday or something like that, saying, "Oh, it's going to be the 24th." And I was like, "Damn! If I would have gotten it, I would have brought it."
Oh my gosh!
And I would have been that awkward, like dude who brought his plaque. I probably would have opened it here.
Are you kidding me? That would have been amazing.
I would have opened it here.
And you should draw on it. Are you kidding me? Well, when I get mine, because I'm working on my own channel, I'm just splattering blood on it because I'm never going to get a custom one.
I don't know if you're going to do that though. I feel like you're going to get it and you're going to be like, I don't know.
You're forgetting the one I already have here, the gold plaque we already have. Okay. So I'm like, I'm used to it,
But you're actually going to do that?
Well, there's this red paint that I used a lot for prop work that looks so good. And I just keep thinking the silver, it'll look amazing. And I'm never going to get the 10 million mark where they give you a custom play button. So I'm like, and I'm never going to get the gold play button on my own, in my own channel. So I'm like, I'm going to customize this. And I could totally, yours is one of one. Can you imagine you draw on that thing? Like,
that's true.
Come on.
I don't know if I can though. I don't know if I can.
It's so cool.
I don't even know where I'm going to put it because my room is so messy. And like, I just have like I can pull it together when I need
it around your neck, bro.
When I need to do a talking head. Yeah, something like that. Like, but I don't know. So YouTube has been really cool, and it's just really allowed me to. The one thing about YouTube is I try to keep myself in the YouTube because it's so easy to get sucked in and get burnt out and just keep doing things. But sometimes I'll just have videos about how I'm burned out.
Yeah.
How I'm stressed. And I think that a lot of people, because some people, they watch YouTube and they think like, oh, this person is like made it and they have like a nice studio and they're doing well all the time. And it's like, it's tough and you get burned out. And sometimes I do videos about that and people are like, man, like this is exactly how I feel. Like, how do I get to where you want to be or where I want to be? Or,
well, people have to follow you, not just the work. A lot of photographers fall into that where they shoot beautiful women and they don't realize they're following the beautiful women photos and not the photographer.
Right.
You have to check in every now and then. It took me a while to realize that. And now I'm definitely obviously more checked in on things, but there's people that are trying to find the human side of it because they're going through it.
Yeah.
And they don't realize how much this is a job. You're always, whatever they see is the final part of it.
Right.
Everything going into it, marking off that day so you can sit down and do it or placate to an audience rather than yourself.
Right.
Speaking of which, there's questions in the comments here. Gordon's asking, what app is Dave using? Blender, Maya?
So I use Nomad Sculpt, which is a mobile 3D app. So this is like, it only costs, I think it costs like $20 or something like that. I'm not like affiliated with them, but like literally this app like changed everything for me. So like I could bring my iPad anywhere I go and I could work on Nomad anywhere. So that was good for me because I was working a job where sometimes I would have a lot of downtime and I could bring my iPad and literally learn. I was obsessed with this program and I would just learn it on the go.
Do you think anything would have changed for you if you were in an era where we didn't have these apps and programs? If you just do anything paper?
I mean, I wouldn't have. Well, like I was saying before, like I've always wanted to do 3D, but I don't think I would have ever been able to do it with a traditional like PC like Blender. Like I use Blender now, so I sculpt everything in Nomad, and then I export to Blender. So maybe that might be what they're seeing. So the renders, if I do turntables and things like that, it's better in Blender because it's just. It's just more beefy. There's different like renderers. It just looks more realistic to put it in like simple terms. So I'll do it on Nomad, which is excellent, but then I'll bring it over into Blender to, do lighting the way that I want and things like that. Cause it's just more of a robust lighting system and rendering system.
I feel like you could jump on a team of game developers and just feed them like character concepts for them to build a world on.
That's something that's something that I could do. Another thing that I learned about myself is, I stopped doing commissions really. Like I'll do collaborations, but I had to stop doing commissions, especially 2D commissions, because, I like drawing, I like creating my own things. And I just made a video that'll be out today talking about this because doing commissions can be very stressful because you're working on things for other people, like other people's babies. And it's great to some extent. It's great to have a job and get paid. But for me, the real magic was to figure out a way that I could sustain myself and just draw what I want to draw. So I'm glad that I fell into teaching And another interesting thing about that is like, you're more of a talker. Like, I wouldn't say that I'm a talker. I'm talking a lot now.
This is the most I've heard him talk in a long time. I gotta tell you,
because we're usually just doing other things.
We're usually working,
so we're not talking about things that I am really like passionate about.
This is awesome.
And one thing that I fell into was, first, I love giving people the opportunity that I feel like I didn't have when I was in college, because I wanted to do 3D. I could never do it. And my end game isn't to work on like TVs and film. My end game isn't to work on like games. For a lot of people it is, and I think that's great. And you can use Nomad to sculpt your characters and then rig them, whatever you want to do. You can do animation, all that stuff. But for me, I just love creating beautiful images, beautiful renders. Like, a lot of people ask, like, why do you do art? Like, what are you doing this for? And luckily I fell into teaching, and I love it. I love showing people everything that I know. I don't have a concept of like people stealing my art or stealing my style or whatever. Like, I give all of that away freely. Like, I want to teach anyone who's interested in doing what I do. You can literally just watch me, because I will just start up. Some of my videos are just silent because I don't feel like talking. Some of my videos are just like, this is just like an hour of just 3D sculpting. And sometimes the videos do well. But another big thing for me is, what I was saying before, you're more of a talker. You're just like great at talking. You're great at like speaking. And I'm more soft-spoken. Like we were saying in the beginning, like I'm a very soft-spoken person. But all I do is, like, for streaming and for doing the tutorials, it's literally I'm just working, and I get into this Zen place, and my voice kind of goes a little bit like lower and just kind of relaxed. It's just like more relaxing
You're Bob
voice.
Ross in it. I get it.
But that's what people say, which is amazing. I love, like, that's one of my favorite compliments. But yeah, I just get into this really relaxed state, and I'm literally just talking about everything that's going through my mind, as though I'm talking to someone that has no idea what they're doing. So apparently that resonates with people, and people can follow it. And I know how it feels to be frustrated with 3D. So I'm happy to say, oh, so now you do this, and just make sure, and I do everything as though they don't know what I'm talking about. And, and I get to create whatever I want to create.
Well, I think that's the question mark for most people, right? Because, I'm teaching the lighting demos, you're teaching drawings like that. And I think I'm always talking out loud, because I think people go and try to do whatever we're doing, and they don't know if they're on the right thought process. They're in the same mindset. Right. They don't know if they're on the right track in their heads. So I think when they see how we're developing and unraveling things in our brain, they kind of feel, oh, all right, so I'm not crazy. Right. Oh, yeah, that would be a thing you'd think about. And I think that's what they're trying to find, someone to identify and relate with, just like those Marvel characters, but they're trying to do it on a more realistic level, obviously.
It's like the mistakes. It's like, for me, it's like one of the scariest things about, making classes or making tutorials or being recorded or whatever is you're afraid to make a mistake. You know what I mean? Like, I do, even this, like, I'm like, I was super nervous, like, coming into it. Like, I'm still nervous now.
I got you.
But it's like, if I make a mistake, then I just make a mistake, and I just pause and move on, and it's fine. So, like, when I'm doing a tutorial and doing things, sometimes I'll work for, 10, 15 minutes on something, and then I'm like, you know what, I hate this. Like, I have to go back and start again. And sometimes I'll keep that in. So, like, at least they'll see, like, oh, this is what he was thinking. This is what he was trying to do. And then he went back, and this is what he do, and this is what, wound up being a better thing. And literally that's all it is problem solving. Like, it's just, if you want to sit down and just go through something and say, what's the best way to do this? And literally try every option until you find something that
But it's also understanding when it's time to do a restart and not fight it, but realize you have to, okay, this is going in the wrong direction. If you already catch it and save yourself an hour instead of chasing something, forget about it.
Yeah,
but
and that's what comes with time and experience. And you know.
We're also in a world that's super transparent. They're seeing everything. If you don't have BTS of what you're doing, it almost doesn't count anymore. Right. I think people are understanding. What I find interesting is, like, the younger kids that come to the demos, they're kind of waiting for those moments, because they're trying to see how to get out of it. Right. But years ago, when I was the guy sitting in seats, those guys that were doing demos for me were doing formulas, and you knew they practiced it, and all of a sudden nothing went wrong, and I wondered why, But I mean, my last demo, my batteries went dead in the remote, and I'm flying all over the place trying to find batteries. It happens. Right. It happens. Right. I wish that didn't happen, but yeah, it is what it is. But and I wanted to say, as far as you not taking on commissions, a little controversial, but What do you think about someone be like, it's cool, I'll just go into AI and type in some junk and get something out that way? How do you feel about that creeping in?
Yeah, AI is a strange one, and it's funny because one of my videos where I reference like an AI image, people kind of went off on that video. I think that video has by now it probably has almost like 3 million views.
What?
And I think a lot of it, obviously, it's a place where people can discuss, and it's one of the things that I love discussing. Now, I don't really know how AI works. I don't know,
it's magic.
I don't know the ins and outs, but I think so. If there's things wrong with it, which I'm sure that there probably are, I'm sure there's ethical things. I don't know how they get their data, their information. I don't know any of that. But from an artist standpoint, I like the idea of being able to just like type something in. Like if I'm an artist, I always use references, first of all. So like references are very, when I used to do 2D drawings of animals and stuff like that, I would just look on Instagram, find a good picture of an animal, and I would use it, and I could credit that artist. So obviously with AI, there's really no one to credit because like I don't really know, how it's working. It's not stealing like maybe directly, but it's using that information. But
it's probably using your information too.
It probably is using my information. And it's funny because I have that discussion with people, and I wish there was a place where I could go and I could say, I want to opt in. You can take all of my images, all of my artwork, everything that I've ever done, all of my photos, and you can put it into this AI thing. Because personally, I just don't feel threatened by AI. I don't feel like it's going to take my job because I felt like I've had to always adapt what I want to do and what I'm trying to do to the times. So sometimes using AI to get inspiration and to get references, like I've used it, maybe that's bad, I don't know, but I've always decided to use whatever tools. I'm like, you know what, let me look into this, let me see how I can use this to like monetize it and use things for myself, for my own gain. Right. That's how I was with digital art. When I first doing digital art, people were like, well, digital art isn't real art. You know what I mean? That was like a big thing. And I was like, okay, well, for me, it's like I'm working a job that I don't really like, and I have a lot of downtime. So now I can take my iPad and just do digital stuff. And now people don't really say that anymore. Now people kind of understand it. So I think some things probably need to change with AI, and I'm cool with that. Like I have make it so no one is being stolen from. Like
well, that's the discussion right now.
Yeah.
Like literally, like Professional Photographers of America is in Congress right now arguing for us to be like, no, you have to ask permission and then you get to use. And Adobe's doing that. They actually ask image photographers for their images to be part of it. And some people are like, no.
I think that's probably the way to go.
Yeah, it's just so new and so fast.
Right, it's real fast.
It's like the Wild West right now. It's like the internet in the 90s. It's like, rah!
It's tricky because like if you use it, like if you use and you come up with some really like amazing images, like it's kind of like the whole, like even social media, like looking through now, everything has to like pop and like get you, and you're like, you can just go in and type in some stuff from your childhood and like mash a bunch of stuff together that no one's ever seen before. And you're like, I'm looking at something that no one's ever seen, no one's ever made. And it's just an idea that popped in my head. So there's that aspect of it, but yeah, it's really fast. So I can see how it's probably problematic, but I don't really even know how it works. So
you're gonna one day it's going to be integrated into what you're doing as it is. And
it already is. Like I feel like it's some AI in some aspect probably has already been integrated in a lot of things that we do. But one thing for me is I always try to go with the change. Like for example, I used to do all 2D. I used to do all 2D, and now I'm 3D. And if things change in the future, then I will just have to adapt to that. Like everything wants to be TikTok now. So I had to learn how to edit my videos in a way that works in the format and in a way that pops, a way that gets people's attention. So like, that's just something I had to do. So now my Instagram is solely just, that format, but everything feeds into, it's a YouTube video, starts as that, and then I edit it into something that I can use on social media. And everything has to be a formula. And then I promote my Skillshare so people come there so I can continue the cycle.
But it's all ephemeral also. Like people that think that it only works this way. It's like, no, because the human being gets tired of things, we end up going in another direction again. Like if you look at podcasts right now, 2-3 hours of content. If you went to a social media guru, they'd be like, you need to be short form and it's going against the grain, but somehow it's exploding because there's people out there that are tired of short attention span stuff and they just want to settle in on a piece of content to hang out there. Thank you guys for staying with us, by the way. But if you're going to do something, you have to understand the platform, the format, if you want it to go anywhere. If you just do it your way and you're going to end up talking to just yourself after a while.
Right.
Like when we do the videos, you've seen how I got to talk when we do, hey, everybody, what's going on? This is the new Fujifilm, blah, 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 blah. You got to kind of know the beats. Otherwise, what are you doing?
And that's the exact thing, because I'm the complete opposite of that. Like, I'm the complete opposite in how I deliver stuff. So it took me a while to settle in and find a way where I can just be my natural self and still have it be, and even in my Instagram videos, like, I'm not speaking in those. I decided to do, and this is another weird thing, I love to use really old school music that you would never put together with something that looks sort of, not futuristic, but technology of today with like music from, I love using music from the 20s for some reason.
Nice.
So sometimes I will literally just like look for the right song for like an hour until I find it. And one thing that I really love, one of my last videos, I like using music from the 20s that have never been used in like a reel before, because there's just so much music on there.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of people are using the same music that I hear all the time. There's like viral music,
that same song,
sometimes it's great. It's in people's head. You love it.
No.
But I love to do, I don't know, there's just some sort of feeling that I get from old school music. So I just like to use it in my new age stuff.
Your identity. You're using it as like, I like this with this, instead of going, well, what song will give me the better boost on the algorithm?
So
it gives you that. So when people find genuine, even if it's not on trend, even if it's outside of whatever they'll tell you is going to go viral, people get into it. It may take a little bit longer than you would think, but they will, because in the end, human beings want genuine, authentic, and that's what like we strive for with this. That's why we're doing these kind of things. But it's funny because when I did when I was doing the short form videos, if I was showing you how to use a C-stand, I was like, cool, I'm going to use a Mobb Deep beat because I think that's just like dope. Or like hardcore thrash punk, and I want to think people like I use the music to let them realize about myself as my identity, so you get the my vibe, so you know who you're learning from, and I think that's as important as the content is who you're learning from.
100%.
Man, someone in the, I'm sorry guys, we're not ignoring you guys. Someone in the chat was wondering how you became an author.
Okay, so I mean, first of all, I wouldn't consider myself an author, so you can see I'm like, am I an author?
They wrote that in the description.
But yeah, so a couple years ago, actually right before the pandemic and things like that, I did some children's book illustration, because like I was saying, I started doing like really cute stuff. So I wanted to do children's book illustration. I actually took a continuing education class at SVA for children's book illustration, and it was great. So I actually had a few clients, but before I started to work with clients, I was like, okay, what's the best way for me to learn how to do this? I need to take a class and make a book for myself and go through all the steps from A to Z, because that's really the only way that I was going to learn how to do it. I have to figure out, okay, what are the hangups? And obviously the biggest hangup is writing the story, like coming up with a story that's the right length, that is, has all the things that you want to have like in a story. Like, it has to be cute, it has to be kind of, they have to learn something from it, and visual. So all of these things. So that's pretty much how I started with my book, was because if I'm going to market myself and try to get some clients doing children's book illustration, then I need to like have something to show for it. So like, why don't I just make a book, and then I'll just have a book that I can show. I know the visuals will be great, but I'll just make a book. But the last book that I worked on was probably one of the most amazing experiences that I had. It's called The Dream Machine, and it was in conjunction with like Shriners, which is like a children's hospital.
Okay.
And super amazing book, and it was great working with the author and the producer of this book. But it's a long process. Luckily, they were the greatest client, because they were like, we love what you do, so just do your thing. Here's the parameters.
That's amazing.
It's kind of like a medical book too, so everything has to be right. But they just gave it to me and let me do my thing.
Children's medical book?
Yeah, like
That's
for
awesome.
children that are going through certain things. Like I don't know if you ever heard of osteogenesis imperfecta. Yeah, so it's like
Wow.
about that, and it's like a really like good book, the kind of book that you'd want to see more of, because there's a lot of kids going through things and they don't really get a lot of like attention or things like that. So yeah, The Dream Machine.
That's awesome.
Amazing project.
You know what you got to do next, though? You got to do a creepy children's book. You got to Tim Burton this up.
Yeah, I mean, that would be cool. But you know, there's people that I've seen. There's people that use AI to do that kind of stuff. There's a guy named Dougie.
Listen, man,
Dougie
stop with the
Pleasure.
AI. It's fake. It's not real. It's not artwork. What are you doing?
You would love his stuff. You would absolutely love his
Yeah.
stuff. I bought his book.
Yeah.
Recently. Yeah, you would love his stuff. It's weird, but I'll do something creepy for you because you like the creepy stuff. So I'll do something creepy, but I'll do it in like a cute way.
Yeah. I feel like you could easily do a series of like a species of toys. I feel like you could 3D print them and get like Kid Robot to make it.
Yeah,
you know, like
100%.
the Dunny dolls and all that stuff.
Well, I've already been doing like there's some of my little characters I print out and I airbrush and like they're looking like really good. Like it's a slow process because I've never been a painter and I've never let alone like airbrushing.
Airbrushing's
But
tough.
now it is. There's just like a long
There's a
learning
feel to
curve.
it.
I literally just hit up Amazon. I was like, okay, I need the compressor. I need the brushes. I need the little things that to hold it when, you know, you paint it and you have to put it in. There's so many little intricacies
The
that
jars versus the cups, the size of the needle, all
everything.
that stuff. I know.
But it's like it's worth it in the end. It's a long learning curve, but it's definitely worth it in the end.
No, I actually took airbrushing in college. And I was the last airbrushing class they had there, and they took out the curriculum. And man, I came from spray cans.
Yeah.
And you'd think it translates. There's almost too much control. And you're doing the double action that kind of was messing me up a little bit.
Yeah, that's all I've ever known. That was my first. I think the Eclipse was my first airbrush that I'm using now.
I think I had a Badger, something like that.
But,
I got it from Pearl Paint on Canal Street when that was around.
Yeah, of course I remember that. I mean, that's when I was in school. That's where I used to go.
What a rest in peace moment when that closed.
Yeah, but airbrushing. But I'm much better at airbrushing now. But I've had to stop printing because again, my printer's also in my room, and it's like the resin is like.
Oh, it's awful.
It's pretty terrible. And now that it's wintertime, my room is like a little bit colder, so that also affects the printing.
Oh wow, yeah.
The temperature affects it. So like I kept getting fails, and I was like, you know what? I think I might be done for the season, unfortunately.
And it's hours. I mean, you got to leave for overnight in some cases. Like, it takes forever.
And I also record that as well. I record
Smart.
Anything artistic that I do. I record it because if you want to do social media, and you don't want to just regurgitate content. A lot of people do that. A lot of people do well with like taking videos and, you know, stealing videos and just posting it on their own thing. But for me, it's like I just record everything that I do because everything that I do, I'm sure is something that other people don't have the opportunity to do or want to learn how to do.
Yeah, but the thing is you actually do it. A lot of people do social to compensate for not actually doing the thing.
Right.
They're just kind of pretending like, I'm going to show you to do this technique, even though you don't do it yourself or you probably just learned it 5 seconds ago.
And I don't care about the algorithm either.
KM's asking, do you visit toy conventions or where do you gather inspiration from?
I've never been to a toy convention.
They look super fun.
They do. I've been to I have been to like a Comic-Con here, but I feel like that doesn't. I don't know if that counts.
There's definitely so the toy. Okay, Comic-Con toys are different than a toy fair. Like a toy, Comic-Con toy is like artists putting out collector pieces or vintage toys people are collecting. Toy shows are like vendors showing what they want to sell to toys, like to toys if toys are still around for mass sales. But it's like an explosion of color. It's just super fun, and it's a bunch of adults that are like dressed way too seriously, talking about like dumb, dopey looking things.
Right. I think that'd be. I mean, it sounds awesome.
It does.
It sounds awesome, and that's the kind of thing that I've. Hopefully, it's. I think now that I'm doing resin printing, because I've always felt that I was really not able to get into that sort of thing because I don't have anything physical.
Right.
Like, because I'm doing my art, I'm doing my 3D, but I don't have anything physical. So that was another thing that I was like, well, why don't I just do resin printing? If I can learn to make it look like a manufactured piece, which is, I knew it was going to take time because you have to airbrush it right and it has to be smooth and it has to be all the details. So that's been a learning curve. But that was another reason I think if I can make these characters, and that's one thing about my art and my social media that I've learned is, you know, if you're gonna do it and try to be successful, like you really have to go all in and just find a way to make it undeniable. Like so that's how I go into everything that I'm doing. I'm like, this has to be undeniably good, so that it's not just like someone's going to look at it and be like, oh, but the eyes are a little messed up. But when I go into it, I want it to be undeniable, so that I don't have to speak, or I don't have to do that much marketing. I want what I'm doing to like speak for itself. When I show a 3D print that I've colored and painted and all that stuff, I want to try to make all of the details perfect, so that it's undeniably something that looks professional. I mean, I guess I'm a professional, but you just have to kind of fake being a professional.
Dave, I mean, you got to kind of look at it like this, like that 3D print is one of one, and that's like the thing you sell as a collector piece. Go to someone like Super 7 Toys and be like, hey, can we put this out?
Yeah, see, I've never even heard of a Super 7 toy.
Oh, Super 7, they're the ones that do like all the artist vinyl toys.
Okay.
You know, and it's awesome. And look, I got into the weird world of collecting that a million years ago, and then I'm like, what am I doing with all this plastic? And I kind of sold it off.
Right.
I'm like, Lamore Supreme is a good friend of mine, and I have a bunch of his toys. And I collect my friends' toys, but I would love to see you do something so off the wall, like, remember Homies? Do you remember those little figurines you used to get in a gumball machine?
Kind of. It rings a bell, but
if you did your weird Pokemon stuff and made them into those little put them in bubbles, and then put them and then put those machines in like, you know, Toy Tokyo and all these other like places. Let them like Forbidden Planet. Let that happen. Oh man, it'd be so much fun to collect your stuff and let them manufacture it.
But that is the perfect kind of thing, like getting into resin printing, because a lot of my characters do translate well. And so like that's pretty, but that's the thing. There's so many like of these opportunities, and literally sometimes it just takes one person to say, "Oh, go check out this company." And like literally, that's all it is sometimes, because it's just that easy. That's how I got into all this thing. You were like, "Oh, like maybe you should check out streaming."
That's crazy to me. That when I look at your channel, I'm like, this is awesome. But if you told me it started from me just looking at you, go like, hey, you should really stream what you do, and then you just were like, I didn't ever think of doing that.
Everything goes to the next level. I haven't drinking any of my hot chocolate yet.
How is it anyway?
I haven't tried it.
For it. Go ahead. I can fill the air. That looks good. You know what that is? That's probably the mocha stuff they put in like a mocha and they made it into hot chocolate.
Did we say it was hot chocolate on the air? I don't drink coffee.
It's okay.
I've only had coffee 3 times in my life. Once when I was like 5, my dad let me try some, and it was gross. So then, and when I used to do a lot of marketing promotions, and I did one for Maxwell House. So we had these gallon containers of Maxwell House that we were like making coffee from and giving away. So I had like 10 things of Maxwell House, and I was like, oh, I'm going to make iced coffee. So then I tried it a few more times, and I was like, I don't need coffee. I don't know. I don't drink coffee. I don't drink alcohol or coffee. Never had a sip of alcohol.
Your
drug-free Dave.
Tags are drug-free Dave.
Drug-free Dave.
I don't drink either. We're in the same vein, you know. So, but it's coffee, man. I don't know. It's always been, maybe because I'm from New York and I'm Greek and we like dark black, you know, burnt stuff. But
I can't do that. I can't do like, it's just too bitter.
I don't know, man. I've always been that way.
If it's a dessert coffee, then I can probably drink it. But then again, I for some reason I never really felt like I wanted to have some sort of stimulant in the morning. So I don't know why that is.
I think you just get to a point where it's not a stimulant. It's just like
it's
thing.
Just part of your
it's
just part of your being, and you need to have it every day.
I've never gotten up in the morning and be like, man, I can't function till I have my coffee.
Okay.
People like that, I'm like, okay, you don't have a problem.
I feel like that's the majority.
I think people crutch on it because they don't like what they're doing for the day. When I look at people on a line, they're going to a job they're probably not passionate about, like what we get to do.
That's
right?
true.
And so I'm sympathetic to that. But when that 5'1" woman is going, I need 7 shots of espresso on top of that, like you need to check some things.
Yeah.
But I feel like people crutch on it to go like, this will get me through whatever I need to do.
Creepy monster that looks like Seth.
Am I not creepy
I like
enough?
that.
Am I not creepy enough?
It's funny that you say that, because I worked in TV and film for a while. I mean, I was just doing I've kind of fell into stand-in work because I'm really good at I'm really good at just being in a space and just kind of hanging out, and I don't really need to talk to anyone. I wanted people to know that I was like nice, but I never really felt like I needed to talk to anyone or be very social like at work. I'll go in, do my thing, relax, stay out of everybody's way, which is impossible on a film set. But hide in a corner, do what I have to do a good job. So I was able to do stand-in work, which was great, because that's how I learned lighting. That's how I learned filmmaking in a sense, because literally I worked on TV shows and film sets every single day for like, 10 to 12 hours.
Yeah, but you know how many people are stand-ins, extras, actors, and for years have never learned one thing from those sets?
Right. It's true. But for me, it got to a point where I knew that wasn't my end game, and it could have been very easily. The pandemic stopped everything. So that it really allowed me a chance to figure out something else that I needed to do.
Too, right?
And the strike was after that. So after I had no other choice but to figure out some other way to survive, I was like, I have to go all in on this because it's either now or never. So I took that opportunity and ran with it. If you're going to give me time, then I'm going to like just perfect. Like I learned Nomad Sculpt in 2021. So that was my first time ever like doing 3D, not counting like 20 years ago when I was on the computer. It wasn't that bad because it was on an iPad. I'd already done Procreate. So Nomad is more like that. Now, if I use Blender where you have nodes and you have a mouse and a keyboard, I wouldn't be able to do my social media the way it is now, because I think what people like to see also is my hand in there and doing stuff. They see me literally like making every single thing. So, and that's like a niche that you couldn't really do before this, because how are you going to do that if you're using a mouse and a keyboard? It doesn't translate. It's not going to be exciting. But yeah, so I had to make the decision to say, you know what, I'm not going to work on set anymore. Even though I worked with great people, loved it, made some really great friends, but I had to just take the plunge and be like, I can't do this. Otherwise, I'll just continue doing it forever.
Right. And
the time will just slip by. So that's when I was like, I just have to record everything, figure out how to make it more exciting than it is. You know?
But that's the thing. The people who want to learn, it is exciting.
Right. But for the artist, it's never going to feel, there's always, the bar continues to raise. So it's like, I know that like the stuff that I do is pretty good, but I'm always wanting to do better and wanting to do more.
Yeah.
And I think that's just the chase is like, and I'm okay with that, because I'm okay with being completely obsessed and just not settling. Unfortunately, sometimes it means not sleeping as well,
right.
Because, recording and stuff like that, I don't have like a space like this. I have neighbors, I have a cat, I have like, a fiance. So like, in the apartment in the daytime, sometimes it's hard to work.
Right.
But, sometimes I'll record at night and then I'll edit in the daytime when
I'm with you.
I don't have to record. So there's always so many hoops, but I left myself no choice but to figure out a way to get through those hoops.
There's always an excuse. There's always an excuse not to. Always.
Right.
Look, there's a
valid
train,
excuses too.
There's a train arm's length outside of my window. If you watch anything recorded in my apartment on my streaming setup, you hear the train.
Right.
It messes up your train of thought. No pun. It jars you a little bit. The audio, you're always thinking about it, but you're always going to tell yourself there's a reason not to do it. And then you're going to go weeks, then months, then years, and then go, oh, you know what I should have done? And you can't let it slip. You can't. It's up to you as the creator to find your own source of ambition and fuel to go forward. And if it's not there, you really didn't want to do this. Yeah. It's really that simple.
Yeah, no, it's true. And it's like, there's sometimes it feels like you have to be concentrated on one thing. But in this day and age, like you really have to be willing to learn all different aspects, like the recording, the videos and stuff like that. But sound is like probably maybe not as important, but just as important as the video. So like that was a long process for me to learn how to like, okay, I got to figure out how to get the sound right. And then it's like, oh, but do you have enough space to record 4K? So you had to like upgrade all your stuff. So there's a lot of hoops, but
we got you covered. If you needed help with something, you could drop a line. You know that.
But I'm one of those people that sometimes I like to torment myself, and like I'm just like I have to figure out a way to. That's
ego. That's pure ego.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I can do this. I don't need anybody's help.
You know what it is for me though is I'm the type of person, whereas I may not ask for help because I don't want to impose on someone, like to a fault. Like I'm that type of person.
Yeah, I get that.
So like I kind of fall in that range. And in a way, I think that's helped me, because in a way that allows me to be able to produce the stuff that I want to produce. And once I came to terms with that, I was like, okay, like, you know, I mean, at this point in time, it might be nice to have like a team, because like I can't keep up with my YouTube anymore, like comments and stuff
just
like
the
that.
Administrative stuff, and so you can just, and you'll realize you're actually doing more hours. You're able to just get it done because you're not burning yourself on the dumbest stuff that I can't stand it. You know, you're so solitary and self-produced after a while that you're like, every video I put out on my own channel, I know only 1/3 is the video.
Yeah.
I got to do a thumbnail, title, all the tags, figure this out, scheduling, then promote it, then figure it out, answer the comments.
Yeah.
And it's just...
And sometimes I have to make a video about all of that stuff, because that's a way for me to kind of express that and like also relate to people that are going through it, because people kind of see YouTube success and don't know that it's like...
It's a job.
Like I had my YouTube... I think my oldest video might be like 16 years old or something like that. These really old videos, they're really embarrassing, of me like lip syncing to like some, I don't know.
You had like huge hair at the time or something?
No, my hair was so short. I was shirtless.
Shirtless?
Yeah. It gets weird. It gets weird. It gets weird.
The things you do for views, man.
It gets really weird. But literally, I think until 2020, 2021, I had 236 subscribers on YouTube, until I decided to go all in and take that long learning curve of figuring out what works, what people want to see, and trying to work with the algorithm is just like, that's not it. Like you'll kill yourself trying to figure out, oh, like I need to find what the algorithm is. Like, to me, it's like, no, like I have to just love what I'm doing and let the people kind of gravitate to what they gravitate to, and then try to work around that.
Well, it's also, if you start chasing algorithms and trends, you have the same channel as everybody else.
Right.
And then what are you really doing? And I couldn't let my own channel do that, and I will never let myself get to that place, because you're going to hate it and then you're going to stop.
Yeah.
You know, my channel was dormant forever until I said, you know what, I'm just gonna give this a real shot. And it wasn't until I saw something really coming back that's what kind of drives you. Is that not going into a void?
Yeah.
Even if it's
100%.
like a few things, if it comes back, but then you really feel like you're communicating, not trying to explode, not trying to be something huge. You're just communicating and sharing, and it takes a lot. And it also takes a lot to be self-confident to even feel like you're worth sharing something.
Right. And just figuring out like who you are and what you're actually like, what you're actually about. Yes. Like if you can, because that's the hardest thing, because growing up, you're trying to find a style, you know what I mean? Like whatever the creative thing is, you know, you grew up listening to, we all grew up listening to music, watching movies, all of that stuff shapes, you know, kind of what we become in some way. It changes, but all of that stuff like has an effect. So for me, it's just finding your voice and figuring out like, what's important to you, and you know, you kind of have to sell that, because that's really like what you have in the end. It's like a brand, and it has like, you know, your logo.
All you have is yourself in the end.
Which my logo, I just, after like one day I was like, first it was a snail logo. First it was like a couple cute snails, but I was like, this doesn't translate to, like, if I want to do like a black shirt and a white shirt, it wouldn't translate like that way, because I don't do logos. And I used to have this big discussion with like logo people, and they're like, you need to do Adobe Illustrator, you need to do this and that. And I'm just like, I don't need all that, because my logo is going to be on like social media and on like the internet. Right. Like I'm not, like, it's not going to be on like a billboard.
You're not printing it.
So there's all these like barriers that people think like, if you're doing a logo, then you have to learn Adobe Illustrator, or you have to pay someone to do it. And I'm like, I'm just going to do it in Procreate. And like mine, I designed in Procreate, and like no one's going to be like, oh, this is designed in Procreate. You know what I mean? Like if someone like Pixel Peeps, like I'm sure it's not perfect, because like I've been using Photoshop for 20 plus years, and I still probably know 5% of Photoshop. There's so many things that I don't know how to do on it.
And it's changing and adding, and you're like, I'm lost.
I'm completely lost.
Yeah.
Completely. Like I kind of, the most advanced thing I know how to do on like Photoshop is I can like add a ruler, but I don't know how to get rid of the ruler after that. There's just like so many like little tiny things in all of these programs. But literally I just try to find what I need. The easiest way that I can do it possible. Since I know Procreate, I'll do everything in Procreate. I'll edit pictures in Procreate. And then like, because no one's going to know what you're using as long as it like looks good.
You just need a result. I mean, my logo for my stuff has been in Photoshop. When someone asks me to sign a PDF, I put into Photoshop into the brush tool. Like it's what I know. Like Fernando always says, like, you use what you know. One time he was using the text tool in Adobe Premiere for something, and I was like, what? He's like, it's what I know.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it's so true. Like I bring stuff into Procreate, and that way I can just sign it. And sometimes it takes like a little while to get it there and get it back out. But I don't have time. Like, you can only learn like so many programs, and like I don't really care to learn all these other programs. I just like, I need to focus, because as I get older, it's like, I just need to focus on ways that I can do what I have to do. Because like what you were saying, everything just becomes like, okay, so like I have to make the thumbnail. I have to figure out what's going in the description. I have to like link the other videos that are linked to this and like do all this stuff and reply to comments. So now on my iPhone, I have a lot of like, you know, I tap like I for some reason. Like that's what I put it in as. And that means like thank you and a few like emojis, because like I literally want to thank everybody. Like I wish I could go and like tell everyone that they're important, like everyone that leaves a comment. But the problem is you just can't do that, or else it just becomes hours and hours of doing that. So sometimes I try to say in the videos, I try to do it genuinely, but it's really like those people that put me where I am. So it's like sometimes I want to just go through with TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and just thank everyone. And I try to add that personal touch, but also it's like, you know, I'm a fiancé, so I have to like make sure that I'm doing that, and I have to change the litter box, and I have to do, you know. Me waiting for trains is literally answering comments. Like that's all it is. And I try to at least take something from every comment, and even if it's saying like, hey, thanks so much, instead of saying thanks, or like I'll always change it up just to be at least not hitting the auto response thing. Right. Because I feel like we cannot do this if someone out there isn't doing the other half of it. Right. So I couldn't be doing AdoramaTV. I couldn't have been doing all the stuff we've been doing. You would not be sitting here. This would not exist if you weren't showing up for it. So I always try not to take that for granted. But then out of the 1,000 comments say thank you, get that one guy that's like, you know, and you're like, oh no, don't just save it, please. Always. Save it. And then you find yourself getting into these big long discussions. One thing that I like to do when I do have those is I just try to be the same person. I try to be honest. And like if they have something that they say or something that they don't like, or we get into some sort of argument about this or that, I like to really just go into it. Like I want to, like if you have a thought, understand their go into it. But then I'm also like, this could just be some like 10-year-old that has no... It took me a long time to realize, you know, this person might just be disturbed, or my favorite is I realized that if it's like a Friday or Saturday, they're probably drunk. Yeah. And they're coming at me a little hard. Yeah. But then I also go, sometimes they're trying to get you to get a rise out of you because that's their entertainment, not the video. They're just poking at you. But when they reference things to the entire thing, like you watched the whole thing. You watched the whole thing. But the one thing I will never let through is if they curse at me, call me something derogatory, or insult a model or something like that, then you're not being constructive. That's not feedback. That's just pure hate and anger. But it is what it is. I mean, I don't know. I do try not to take for granted that I work on an amazing channel like this, and I learned so much about how to do all this that like when I go to my own stuff, I'm like, all right, at least do something a little proper. Right. Yeah. You know? Of course. Of course. Man, I love some of these comments. Like, you know what's funny about the auto response is I actually have about 5 or 6 of them, so that at least if it's an auto response, it's not all the same auto response. Yeah, that's right. Yep. Because honestly, sometimes I just want to say like, oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you stopping by. And my heart emoji is always the anatomical heart. Okay. Because I keep it real, you know? Okay. But at least they know that I left that, because there's no way YouTube is going, here's an auto response with that. 100%, you know? 100%. But it's like, forget about it. Man, if you guys have any questions, let us know, because we're kind of hitting the time here. But yeah, Dave's been all over this channel as a model, and I just thought it was important for you guys to realize like some of our talent is beyond just physical talent. They're really incredible people. I mean, Marissa, she's been getting into filmmaking. We've got Erica, who's an incredible dancer. Dave, unbelievable illustrator. And you're always morphing, which I think is really interesting. I would love to see you do like a once a month challenge of a style you never would, like tackle McFarlane. Like do Todd McFarlane style, and I would love to see how you take it and really challenge yourself to like a completely different style. Interesting. I do. That would be because I even take the 20s, like the old style, like Mickey Mouse, because I do love to. Yeah, I saw that. I do love to make things in like different styles and just present things differently. So that is a good idea. Like, yeah, like this little guy. Like, I just try, like, sometimes there's so much really amazing character work, and people don't understand how complicated this old Mickey is.
And consistent. Like, they drew it consistent over and over again. And the ratio and, like, the way that,
Like, like, looking at it, I'm like, oh, this is going to be simple. But it's like, it takes a lot. But this is, like, what I love to do. So, like, I'm happy that I've kind of finagled my way into being able to do it. Even, like, being here, like, you know, like, imposter syndrome. Like, I'm like why am I here? Like, why am I sitting here? Like, I just feel like I'm just, you know,
awesome,
you know what I mean? It's like, but yeah, anyway.
I don't understand imposter syndrome because I'm actually dealing with it right now as we're getting ready for Imaging, which is probably like the biggest photo show of the year. I feel like I'm so rusty and out of practice, and I'm not happy with the last demo that I did. Like, I'm about to go on stage and go, like, you got to forget all that. Remember, you do this.
Right. And to me, from where I'm sitting, I can literally, like, see you doing no wrong with that, because it's just, to me, that's just who you are. Like, that's how I know you. So it's like, you saying that doesn't make any sense to me. You know what I mean? That's one of the important things that I say to, like, artists is, like, you know, you just have to, like, keep going and do your thing and just be obsessed. It will never actually feel like you're the way that you look at people that you may admire or aspire to be like. You're never going to be at that point where you feel like you're that person, even if someone puts you in a position where you're showing other people what you're doing. But it's just the ride, you know, like, that's just,
but I think
that's just part of it.
Don't experience some level of, like, quote unquote imposter syndrome. Like, I find those people don't actually care about what they're putting out. They're just trying to put things out. And when I get in front of things, I look at it as a privilege. When I got 60 people's faces and in my face, I'm like, they're here. They could be anywhere, doing anything. I've got to come through on this.
Someone's time, when someone gives their time for you,
right?
That's a big deal.
Well, that's why they get so angry in the comments, because if you wasted their time, but because they clicked on it, I'm like, you saw the length of the video before you clicked on it, bro. Like, chill out.
If you can waste someone's time for an hour, you're doing something right.
Man, you know what just popped in my head that I kind of want to see you do? Do you remember My Pet Monster? Do you remember that blue?
Oh, blue and purple?
Yeah, with the green nose and the handcuffs.
Yeah.
I would love to see you do your version of that guy.
You remember the Puffalumps?
No.
I think they were called Puffalumps.
Do you remember the Wuzzles?
I remember. I loved the Wuzzle. I used to watch that cartoon.
I want to see you do 90s toys and cartoons and put those out. That's huge right now.
Because I thought about doing also, what were they with the tube on top of their head? They lived in the ocean.
Teletubbies?
No.
Oh, Snorks?
Snorks?
Yeah, they were like Smurfs, but underwater.
Something like that.
Yeah. And they had like the little, and it kept on.
No, I'm tapped into all that weird stuff that I kind of want to bring back and just do it in a different way.
Because they're all us being adults now, and we went through all that, you know? So I think it'd be cool if you tapped in, like Gargoyles, if you did your version of Gargoyles.
Yeah, I remember that one too.
They're trying to revamp that one, I think, right now.
Are they? Yeah.
They try to revamp things, and it's a heartbreak when it falls apart. When they tried to revamp the Dark Universe, they tried doing all the Universal monsters with the Mummy and all that stuff, and just tanked.
I'm iffy about, like, I love the Dark Crystal. I liked,
man.
I enjoyed the new ones, but it's just not like the original. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, I love the original.
The original cannot be topped. I don't know what they did.
And I almost wish that they didn't try.
Did you see the new one coming?
No, I want to see it, but I'm afraid to see it.
The trailer,
but I feel like I have to. I feel like I have to just because of the name.
I'm divorcing you if you support this. I mean, it's so bad. Like, just remaster the original and put it back out in theaters for like a third of the price.
And that's the thing. I'm a 3D person. I love CGI.
Darkwing Duck is dope.
Darkwing Duck
is sick. Launchpad and all that.
What was the other one with Baloo and Tailspin?
DuckTales? Oh, Tailspin. That was where they took the Jungle Book characters and made them into something else. Yeah. With like the plane.
We're bringing it all. We're dating ourselves.
Or Chippendales.
Fraggle Rock?
Fraggle Rock is awesome.
I never heard of a Fraggle, but I have heard of a Fraggle Rock.
Fraggle Rock. The dog from Fraggle Rock is the best dog ever.
You know what's weird about Scooby-Doo and Shaggy? Even as a little kid, for some reason, I couldn't get into that artwork. I couldn't get into, and it's a really strange, like,
thing. Hanna-Barbera, just that.
Maybe I watched the Jetsons, but for some reason it was like that style of artwork I didn't like. And as I got older, I looked back and I was like, why didn't I never really watch these cartoons? There was only like certain cartoons that I watched, and other ones that I wouldn't. I think it's just like a style thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of graphic novels that people tell me about. I'm like, that sounds awesome, but the style of the artwork doesn't connect. It's like the filter I can't get through.
Yeah.
And I don't, and sometimes I'm really into the art style and the story's awful.
Yeah.
I found right now I'm really, really into Saga. I don't know if you read Saga.
No, I don't know. I don't really read at all.
It's got the nice, it's a graphic novel, but it's a nice blend of like everything. It's kind of a Romeo and Juliet story, but like it's really
You have
messed
time.
up.
You have time to read.
So I don't sleep well, so I find that I pick up like actual physical books when I can't.
That's
really,
crazy
really
that you
crunch.
pick up physical books. I haven't picked up a physical book in ages.
You know, I have a lot of books, and then if I ever have to move, I find which ones I have to shed, and then I find out nobody wants books anymore. But I have a lot, and then what's funny is I'm getting ready for a trip to Japan, so I got 14 hours on a flight. I'm shoving graphic novels into my phone now.
Wow.
So I can read them on the plane.
The last long plane ride I had going to Hong Kong, I watched all of the original series of Twilight Zone, the 50s.
Wow.
I downloaded all of them.
We used to watch it on Channel 11 for New Year's. Remember, there was always the New Year's Eve marathon, 24 hours of Twilight.
I never
Zone.
watched it then. No, I never
Really?
watched it then.
I watched it
No.
every year with my dad, and it was always on, so you could go like take a break and come back, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Like the guy who had the third eye in the diner.
It's a weird feeling. They captured some sort of weird feeling that even now I just like.
It's awesome.
It's something. I don't know. There's something there.
It's the look of it. It's the tone of it. It's also the audio. I find like it has that weird audio that you almost feel like you're listening to a news announcement about something real happening.
Yeah.
Like Twilight Zone was. Did you see the movie when they put that out? Where
the 80s movie?
Yeah, where the guy got decapitated during the making of it.
Oh, I know the 80s movie where there was like a plane crash, or there was a helicopter crash as well. The one with John Lithgow and all that stuff.
And he was on the plane.
I loved that 80s movie.
That was probably the best rendition. Like when they tried to make a movie out of something that was probably the best version of something like that. It was tragic what happened.
Yeah, it is.
Which made the movie famous for the wrong reasons. But if you actually watch the movie,
I think it's just there's just something about it, and like the music and like all that stuff. And I still, every time I'm flying, I still think about that thing on the wing. Because you want to see it in the sky, but then again, you really don't. But it's like,
I was thinking about the one where they flipped the coin and it landed on its edge, and then the guy could read minds because that happened. It's like
this must be the old school one.
That was a really old. And he thinks the guy's going to rob the bank and all that, or the one where the guy breaks his glasses when he finally has all the books.
Oh yes. I
mean, it's just there's so many classics. The fact that it lasted. What do you feel about Outer Limits? To me, that was like the GoBots version.
I'd have to hear the theme music to know if I know that one.
It was so cool.
Because there's also like Freak Show and stuff, so I get kind of confused between all of them.
Oh my gosh, we're going forever.
Anyway,
actually, can you do the Crypt Keeper cute?
I used to watch that. He was the first thing that I was actually a little bit afraid of.
Oh really?
He creeped me out. Well, the Crypt Keeper.
The Crypt Keeper. He was a skeleton.
The Crypt Keeper was creepy.
Yeah.
So I remember he kind of freaked me out. I was a little afraid of like, I used to have to turn the lights off and then run upstairs, and it was always the Crypt Keeper. I think that might have been the only thing that was scary.
The Crypt Keeper was, for the time, the puppetry was incredible.
I thought it was
And as a little kid, you're like, that thing's real. No, that really exists.
Yeah.
Now, if you could do that all cute with your style, that'd be interesting.
That'd be tough, but
I gave you a bunch of homework. Well, My Pet Monster, Crypt Keeper, a bunch of horror themed stuff, and I want you to change your style once a month. Whoa, Dave, man.
Is that it?
Through an hour, bro.
I guess I don't have to be nervous anymore.
No, you got through it. You get to drink your hot chocolate now, man.
Yeah. No, that was cool. I'm really, it's just, I don't know. I'm honored to be here. Like, it's kind of crazy to me because like, I feel like I'm not as accomplished as probably most of the people you have on here.
You're crazy accomplished, and people are responding to you. Look at that.
Yeah.
Like the fact that you're getting your plaque for YouTube, the fact that you grew on all these platforms, people are responding to what you're doing.
Yeah, I still don't really, I don't. It's hard to imagine that I'm getting it. But I'm gonna post a video. I might do a live where I unbox it and stuff like that.
Stay humble. Don't be that guy. You're gonna come back next time we have him on. He's gonna have a feather boa, sunglasses on.
We'll see about that one.
Gonna come with his own background dancers. He's gonna show up. It's not cold chocolate, probably, but cold chocolate's still good.
I'm still gonna drink it.
Still good. Listen, I just want to say, first of all, if you guys want, please check out Dave's work. His social's right here. My man will show you guys everything he's doing. He hides nothing, and it's really amazing work. And drop him some comments. Hit follow on and subscribe on his channel. He's getting to the plaque. Let's get him to the million mark. Get him a gold plaque.
Let's get there.
Let's do it. I think he could do it. I want to thank the sponsor, BenQ. You guys know BenQ. If you've ever been to the event space, that's the projector we're using in here that matches our laptops perfectly. And you guys are on a BenQ monitor all the time in on our chat room. Check out BenQ for all your monitors if you want to get into gaming or editing. They do some really great stuff. It's a household name at this point. You use BenQ, don't you? Right here.
Love it.
Boom. Signed off right there. And I want to thank Gotham for the coffee today. I'm probably going to stop by later anyway for round 2. But they're right there on 19th Street. Go pop in there, say what's up. Tell them Adorama sent you. Woo, man. Dave, thank you so much,
That was
man.
awesome,
It was good
man.
hanging out with you.
I loved it. I loved it.
We're going to have to put you in more videos, though, just for your face, though.
Of course. Of course.
Although, if you do watch the Fujifilm X-H2S video, he is illustrating in that video. I think you were drawing Ninja Turtles in that video.
Yeah, probably.
I think that, so
I just do whatever they tell me to do, I just do. So.
he's so easy to work with. Dave, thank you so much, guys. Have a great rest of the day. I don't think I'm going to be here next. Am I going to be here next week? We got imaging. So if you're going to be at Imaging USA in Louisville, Kentucky, stop by the Adorama booth, and I will see you there. Tomorrow at 5 p.m., Daniel Norton is live right here in the event space doing beauty portraits. So if you're in New York, stop by or watch online. All right. I think that's...
Love you, Tali.
Nice. All right. Any last words?
Oh, no. I just was reading some and I was like, who's been following my work for over 30 years? But now it makes sense.
Over 30 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because we lived in the same household. So...
And they're brave. They have their actual photo as their avatar. Way to go. Well, thanks for joining us, Tally. And if you guys are new here, hit subscribe. Don't forget there's a new channel, Adorama Events, for all the live demos that are coming out of space, including the one I did last week. Adorama Events is the new channel. Dave, let's get out of here, boys. Good seeing you, boys.
Appreciate it.
Later, guys.